Yes, dear listener, you're very welcome back to the Last Mixtape podcast with me, Stephen White. And this week, I've been musing on Forbideen Fruit 2024, which is kicking off the summer music festival season here in Ireland at the Royal Hospital grounds in Kilmainham. Now, amongst the headliners are Nelly Furtado, Bicep and Fortet, but I thought I'd talk to you a little bit on some of the Irish acts performing across the festival weekend. And kicking off with Gemma Dunleavy, who played there last year on the main stage and who is one of Ireland's great songwriters and great artists. Her EP, Up the Flats, really captured the imagination there about 2 years ago, and she played an incredible show as well in the Academy, which had a real sense of community. I think Gemma Dunleavy is an interesting artist in the fact that she really mirrors and really takes in her community, her life, her background. It all plays into the album and the EP rather of Up the Flats, which was just so brilliant and so striking. And she took that to the stage as well at Forbideen Fruit last year. And I had to say, when I was there kind of shooting, I was photography at the show, and yeah, it was one of those kind of moments, one of those performances where you're just like, this is an artist who can more than meet the kind of appeal and more meet the kind of sound that she kind of puts forward, and she's a great artist. So yeah, definitely check her out. I'm not sure what stage she'll be on, but when you see her, do go see her perform. La Boom are also playing across the weekend, an act that have just come back, kind of redone up the lineup, and are returning to the festival circuit, and more likely returning with that energy and that feel that they kind of gave. They're one of those acts that when they're at a festival, they like the tent is always packed, the crowd is always jumping, and I think they've really redefined themselves and recreated themselves since the lineup change there, and it's really worked for them. And they're back and they're performing, and I think once again one of those acts that, especially across a festival weekend, that you just got to check out. Coming up as well is Chubby Cat, who was nominated for a Choice Music Prize only a couple of months ago for Song of the Year, and an artist as well very much on the rise, who I imagine will be playing that kind of Irish stage, which is usually up at the top of the Kilmainham grounds there. And yeah, another artist who's very interesting, who's like really kind of come into their own, especially with the last couple of releases, and really kind of staked a claim for themselves. One, an artist who it took a while to find themselves. You can really feel that in a while. There was like name changes and all of these kind of types of things, but once they kind of settled on that and stylistically kind of settled on a sound for themselves, they really came across. So it'll be interesting to see how they do in a festival setting. It's always a little bit different, but I think they're going to be absolutely amazing. An act that will definitely bring the kind of rock and roll to the weekend is Sick Love, whose album we only just reviewed a couple of weeks ago, and themselves returning from a couple of years hiatus. And yeah, a rock and roll band. It's definitely going to be one of those ones where get the tent full of people and absolutely have it, because yeah, I imagine maybe as well on that Irish stage too. Yeah, but they're a really great band, great rock and roll sound, great singer, and yeah, really cool album as well. So it'd be one of those ones to kind of see, really kind of bring the noise at the festival and over the festival weekend. Big Sleep as well, another act. We were kind of talking about ones that are constantly evolving and bringing their sound to the kind of the stage and stuff like that. And this is an act that have consistently with their single releases being great. And what's great about festival season sometimes is the ability to see acts out of their kind of their comfort zone, or out of their, in an area where that might not normally be their audience, that might not normally be their crowd, and see what they do and see how they handle it. And I think Big Sleep are a band very much capable of that. They're part of that kind of festa, that kind of dream poppy scene that's really coming up in Ireland now. It's interesting to think about whether or not that is the thing that is overtaking the post-punk of it all. I think it might very well be, seeing how Big Sleep have kind of come into it, and you have like Lucy McWilliams and Lucy Gaffney and people like that as well coming to the fore. And finally, the Cope electronic duo will also be performing over the weekend, and they're another act who are very visual. Almost you could kind of ally them a little bit with Bicep in that kind of way. That I expect there'll be kind of a visual aspect maybe to their performance, but if not, the music is amazing too, and it's definitely one worth kind of catching. And Forbideen Fruit is an interesting music festival. Those are the Irish acts that I would say go and see. But Forbideen Fruit is an interesting festival in its placement. It's always done really well, and it's always had a really great buzz about it, because one, it's the first real festival of the summer season, so it really kicks it off. It's on June Bank Holiday weekend. Over the years it's gone from heat wave to torrential rain. I remember seeing Bon Iver over a very wet weekend at Kilmainham. But on the other side of it, seeing Tame Impala play a really sunny, glorious weekend. So, and hopefully that's what they get for it this year for Nelly Furtado and for people like that. And there's incredible other acts playing as well. Other than that, although I would be very interested to see Nelly Furtado because she's an amazing artist who has had some really amazing songs. But it's a festival with a real sense of identity. And you can kind of see how it is stuck. You know, I think Kilmainham is a beautiful setting for it. I always have loved gigs at Kilmainham. I've seen, countless Forbidden Fruits there. I've also seen the likes of Nick Cave, White Stripes, people like that, White Stripes, Jack White, and people like that there. And it's always been like a real venue that, that really kind of captures, it kind of encapsulates and it kind of contains the festival within it and has a really nice buzz about it. And, you got to, it's as well, it's people's first space in which to kind of really kind of, it's the summer, I can do all of these things. I can go to festivals. I can, have beers out of little plastic cups, all of that kind of stuff. And look, the festival scene in Ireland is a rocky one. Let's not stand on ceremony. There's a lot of festivals happening over the summer. And they're all trying to define their identity. The established ones, I would say, Electric Picnic, I would call Forbidden Fruit one, as well. They know what they are. They know Longitude is another. They know what they are. They have a sense of identity. All Together Now is another one that is really come to the fore and really kind of set out its stall. And everyone who comes back is always talking about what it is, and that's what you have to do. I think, to me. I think a festival has to know who it is and who its audience is and what it's trying to deliver. Because a lot of them, if you close your eyes and open them, can look very similar. It's a similar looking stage, similar food trucks, similar whatever, a couple of similar acts. And that's why, as I was saying, Kilmainham really kind of sets Forbidden Fruit apart in a lot of ways. It's the setting, it's the feel, it's the proximity of all the stages. You don't have to go through a woods to get there, which can really help. It's the fact that it's not a camping festival. You can go into town afterwards, you can do whatever you want, you can spend all day there, whatever you want to do. So I think it really has an identity of its own, along with Longitude, which I also think does, and for obviously Electric Picnic and All Together Now. But that's kind of what you have to find, these kind of festivals, the smaller ones as well, are also kind of having to define themselves at this. You obviously have the one out in Wicklow as well. It's going to be starting up. But I think that kind of feel, that kind of vibe of it is always going to be something that, Another Love Story as well is actually one too that really has that, really intimate feeling. And Beyond the Pale is the one that I nearly failed to remember there. But these are festivals that are having to define themselves by who's going, who's performing, and what's playing. And that's really important. Otherwise, you kind of find yourself in this netherland of, it's a festival, but what's its selling point, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. And Forbidden Fruit is one that has that. And over the weekend, you have some really great Irish acts as well. If I was to pick out one in particular, Gemma Dunleavy, as I said, is always somebody who brings a performance to the stage as well. But definitely check out all of these acts because, it's a great place to see emerging Irish acts in kind of that festival environment and that kind of festival vibe. So that's Forbidden Fruit 2024. It's taking place this weekend in Kilmainham, Bank Holiday weekend. And that is my preview of this year's festival.